What's up, everybody? Coach Key EBC, Hooper's Delight, episode 9. We're going to talk a little bit about SIC Boys Basketball District Tournament. And of course, the Girls State Tournament is this week. A lot to talk about, but let's start off with the Freshie Fresh. Tell me about the fit, Coach.
So we got my wife, Miss Corey Liggins, that played at Weber State shooting guard. We got her shirt that I had when I first met her. I got the Weber State shorts.
Yes, sir.
And then I got some LeBron 9s on. I matched the purples. I know it's just a little bit. It has a little pink in there, but I got the purple with the purple.
Sir.
So that's what I decided to do today.
Yeah, I went with the D-Wade throwback high school jersey, and I couldn't wait any longer to wear the Candylands. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. These people get these shoes, bro. I took them to the mall the other day. They just get people stuck. Like, what are those? What's this dude wearing? Yeah, I appreciate you.
Heater, and I had to do the self-love hat from my sis, Qual, out in New York. Shout out to her and her brand. Follow it. Self-love.
I love that. Well, let's get going here. Ladies first, all right? We got the state tournaments finally here. I've been waiting for this all year. I've told a lot of people, yourself included, that I think girls basketball ultimately is going to be the most competitive state tournament we see potentially this year in any sport.
Right.
And we've got, I think, 1 through 8. Anybody, I mean, I don't know much about Madison, so I'll say 1 through 7, I think, could make a run at this thing because you got Middleton as a 7th seed, and they were second in the SIC. So it's a stacked field. A lot of hoopers, a lot of Division I hoopers on display in the Valley this weekend, not just at the 5A level, but all the way down to the 1A level. But let's talk about this bracket, man, and what's to come. Well, I'm going to start at the top of the bracket. We'll talk about the first round games, and then maybe just make a prediction on who we think will win the tournament, and who we think may be the player of the tournament, or top 2 or 3 players in the tournament, people to watch. So, and then we'll jump on the 5A Boys SIC District Tournament, which starts tonight. This is a recording on Tuesday. Going to try to have it out by Tuesday, if not Wednesday. So we could end up finding out by the time we post this if we were right or wrong on some predictions, my guy. But let's start with the Girls State Tournament. First game, 12 o'clock noon, Thursday at Idaho Center, is the defending champs, Coeur d'Alene, the 4 seed, against the defending runner-ups, Rocky Mountain. So we got a rematch of last year's state championship game. Obviously, teams look a little different. Who do you got? I know you said in a previous podcast you think Coeur d'Alene is a potential dark horse to repeat. Right. How you feel? I know you know Rocky a little bit. You know some of those girls. Rocky, Coeur d'Alene, first game. What do you got?
I think it comes down to who's going to compete harder. Because at the Idaho Center, everything changes. The shot is a little different, getting used to the arena, the space behind the backboard, things of that nature. So for me, you know what? I'm going to pick Rocky.
Woo!
They lost earlier in the season to Coeur d'Alene by 4, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I think that now that's what they've played twice in the last 2 years. This will be their 3rd. It's hard to beat a team 3 times.
Yeah.
And I think that this year, I think that they can do it. They can put it together. I would like to see it just because, being from the Treasure Valley, but also at the same time, I know the firepower that Coeur d'Alene has. They're well coached. And they actually were, in the previous episode, they were one of my teams that could win it. So,
yeah.
And I still think that they could if they get past Rocky and get to the, down the line. I think that they could put themselves in a good position to repeat. But, I'm going to go with Rocky this time.
Yeah. Right. And for me, we talk about this a lot when you have a guy or a girl, right? Like I'll say like a Nash Humphreys or a Tegan Colvin or, a Paige Kofer. Shout out to Paige Kofer, whose season ended early. Wanted to give her a shout out. She was one of the best hoopers in the state, going to Utah Tech, ended up hurting her knee, but she deserves a shout out. She's been so much fun to watch the last couple of years, and prayers up to her moving forward. Going to continue to be a fan and follow her at Utah Tech. Paige Kofer from Eagle, but someone like that who can carry, who can, you put it on their shoulders for one game and they start to find a rhythm, they get hot, they pop off. Coeur d'Alene can beat anybody with Tegan Colvin. And then they got freshman Brooksley Colvin, who has an Iowa offer. Iowa as in where Caitlin Clark goes to school.
Right.
And then you got Maddie Mitchell, who's very kind of Swiss Army knife-esque, kind of one of the best on-ball defenders, super scrappy, can get out on the break, moves well without the ball, playing off the Colvin sisters. They got Kelsey Carroll down low, who's a defending state champion as well with these girls. These girls know how to win. They've been through a lot this year. It's brought them together. They've fought through adversity, and they're comfortable against Rocky. And I got Coeur d'Alene winning this game. It's going to be fun to watch Logan Sailors, one of the top on-ball defenders, go at the Colvin sisters and at Maddie Mitchell. I think CC Legaspi has to have a big game.
Huge game.
And I don't know if that's going to happen with Maddie Mitchell and the Colvin sisters hounding her. I think Anna DeBelle is an X factor for Rocky because Coeur d'Alene's a little bit smaller in stature. But I think Maddie Mitchell for Coeur d'Alene is going to be that X factor defensively and leaking out on the break and working off the Colvin sisters. But that's going to be a fun one. I mean, that is one of 3 first-round games that I'm just excited to watch. So let's move on to, I got Coeur d'Alene, you got Rocky.
Actually, I may change.
You gonna
I'm
change?
thinking about it. Yeah,
I talked you into it.
No, I'm thinking about coaching, and I feel like when you coach, like I gotta say this the right way.
2 great coaches. BJ's a great coach, does a great job.
I think
Simmons
though.
a dog.
I think Coach Simmons is gonna be. I think she's gonna. I just have a feeling she's been there, she's done it, and I feel like she's gonna be have those girls more prepared. Where Rocky, we've seen at times have made a bad rotation at the wrong time. They've kept a certain groups in that weren't performing and then try to play catch up, and it's like sometimes that puts you in a bad spot. So
Yeah.
I think ultimately it's going to come down to coaching, and I just think Coeur d'Alene has a better coach. Not to say that Coach
BJ, obviously BJ's done a great job. He got him to the state championship last year. Simmons has a ring. I really like BJ. He's one of my favorite coaches in the SIC to watch work. But like when it comes to the Simmons family and coaching, you've got Corey's at NIC.
And that's more of where I'm going off that line. Like
Yeah.
it's the experience on top of the conversations, the film study, the breakdown of all of that. Are they investing more time into that side of it? I don't think that Rocky is doing as much of that. However, I do think Rocky, like you're gonna have to have your big time players have their best game.
Yeah. And it's going to be tough against that defense.
And it's gonna be tough.
I agree. And I don't think Corey's Corey's going to force Nicole to watch film.
Right.
Corey, at NIC, they're one of the best JCs in the entire country.
Right.
Every year. And, they're in the same household. And Nicole has built this program at Coeur d'Alene. Once again, they won it last year before they were tough. But they have a shot to do this again because when you have a core like they have, anything can happen, and these girls are dogs. And they just beat number 1 Lake City by 19 at Lake City to win the district tournament when they were 0-2 against them.
Right.
They play in their best ball at the best time. And
that's when I flipped. That's why I flipped. I thought about that. I'm like, well, they're playing hot right now, so I think it'll continue.
And this team specifically has been through a lot this year and gotten through it and faced adversity previously together. This year together, and here they are. So I'm excited for that one at 12 o'clock noon Thursday at the Idaho Center. Then we jump over to the 1 seed, the Boise Brave, and who's a heavy favorite for me at least. And then they play Madison, who beat Eagle. Some would say upset Eagle. Once again, Paige Kofer, the Utah Tech commit, was not present for Eagle. Huge loss.
Right.
It's losing the heart and soul. I explained it to someone the other day when Eagle lost to Madison and Madison got in, was that it's hard to have your heart broken towards the end of the season and have all these younger players, these less experienced players, pick up the pieces, put it back together while you're playing the best teams in the state to get to the state tournament.
Right.
It was too difficult for Eagle. They were 8 points away from getting there. They beat Coeur d'Alene and the team we were just talking about. They beat Coeur d'Alene. No, excuse me. They beat Lake City this year's number 2 seed in the play-in game last year to get in, and they almost beat Coeur d'Alene in the first round last year with Paige Kofer going off for 30 bomb. Right. So missing her, detrimental. Madison gets in. Madison's got a bunch of dogs and a bunch of winners, a bunch of volleyball girls who won the state championship back-to-back. You got the freshman Sloan Humphreys, Nash Humphreys' little sister. You know what goes on in that bloodline. Right. She comes off the bench and plays as a freshman. But Mia Walsh, Nora Wadoops, those are 2 volleyballers that I'm still upset with that they beat my wife's team in the state championship. But man, they're dogs. They're dogs and they're athletes, and they've got a senior, Roxy Backstein, I think it is, who contributes. They're a very young team. That's the one senior that I think gets a lot of time. They got a couple guards, one that just tore her ACL, and I don't want to mix the names up, but they've got a couple guards that do some things, and I'm excited to watch this team play. I don't know a lot about them. I love watching teams I don't know a lot about who have found a way to get here and see some new athletes. But I will tell you this, Madison, if they can keep it close into the second half, just knowing their mental and their toughness is going to have a shot. But honestly, I think it's going to be over pretty quick, because if you haven't played against Avery Howe, you don't know what's coming.
Good luck.
Yeah, so I got Boise quickly in this one.
Yeah, I mean, you said, winners, and I think Avery Howe is out to win this year. I think this is going to be a stamp. If she wins this for this year, the type of season she's had, the type of career she's had, I think this will be a slamming the door on the high school chapter. So I'm not betting against her at all.
Yeah, I'm not betting against her as well. And I do want to give a shout out to her Meta Hoops coaches who have just done an incredible job with, I mean, most of these Boise girls have been working with Ashley Gill and Emily Harden for the last couple of years. Meta Hoops is what it is because of that Boise connection, and Avery Howell has been living at T3. She works out with them daily. I know Emily tried to cancel on her tomorrow, which is the day before the tournament, and Avery wasn't having it. So they're in the gym every day this week. Morning and night. That's who Avery is. That's why we're not betting against her. I do want to give the Meta Hoops women's program a shout out because we are now in Idaho from a club level on the girls side. We are nationally noticed. And Gino Ariema from the University of Connecticut is actually coming out to see Bryn McGoffey, who's the top player in Washington, who's a junior, who's a Meta Hoops girl. They're coming to check her out at her state tournament. So UConn is now in the house. And we're talking about Idaho Girls Club basketball, University of Connecticut, the boys side and the girls side. A lot of good things happen. I wanted to give them a shout out for what they've done for the girls side here, along with Tree of Hope and a bunch of these other clubs. And I would shout everybody out if I could. But anyway, Boise for me quickly in that first game. Let's jump up to the bottom side of the bracket, which Thursday night is going to be popping because we've got 4 teams who have it in them, and we've got some teams who have underachieved in the past. We have the number 2 ranked team that hasn't been there with this group yet. We've got an Owyhee team that snuck in on a buzzer beater. We've got a Middleton team that was essentially upset by Rocky in the semis in the district tournament. They got in. They're scrappy. They're tough. They're underrated. They're young. So the first game in the nightcap is what I believe it's the Lake City Middleton game. Number 2 Lake City, who lost to Coeur d'Alene, had to beat Timberline by 25 back east to get into the tournament, and they're the 2 seed, and they play the 7 seed Middleton, who is the 2 seed from the SIC. And this one's going to be fun. I don't think there's a game I'm more excited for in the first round than this one. What do you think about Coach Blackwell? What do you know about Lake City with Waddington and Zufelt, a couple D1 hoopers up there? How are you feeling about the start of the nightcap?
I think that Middleton, from Coach Blackwell all the way down, her staff, the players, how they've kind of, I don't want to say revived, but essentially they revived, Middleton girls basketball, and they're at a high level again. They weren't down for long, but that team competes, and they're fearless. They play for each other. They all love each other. The energy's there, and that's what's propelled them throughout this entire season. So I would like to see, and I'm from Middleton, so I would like to see them do well. But I just think that they lack size compared to Lake City, and that may be a little bit of a struggle because if they don't control the tempo of the game, it could get ugly quick because if you just get out rebounded and you can't get any inside scoring, it's a lot harder for them to win because a lot of their baskets are coming at close to the hoop, layups and floaters and stuff of that nature. So, and they play fast. There are a lot of stuff is in transition and whatnot. But I just think, I don't know, I think Lake City has a little bit too much size, and I think they're hungry. I think that Coeur d'Alene loss really hurt them, and now they're trying to, make some noise. So I'm going to pick Lake City in that game.
Yeah, and Lake City was ranked, 2 or 3 last year before the state tournament, and once again lost to Eagle in the playing game, which was everyone thought was a big upset. They had beat Eagle by 30, and then they lose the playing game and don't get to state. So the one thing that worries me about this group is welcome to the Idaho Center, right? Yeah, and Middleton as well. But Middleton is young, and they're led by the Blackwell sisters, a freshman and a sophomore, and they're dogs. They have no fear. Your boy Rose over there, like you said, so you know what he's implementing. That for me is going to be a 3 to 4 point game. I think Waddington and Zufelt, the 2 Division I. Zufelt's not a commit yet, but she just did get her first offer. Waddington is committed to Montana, and she's just improved. Her game has improved all year. They beat Boise. She gave Avery Howell problems, and So they have it in them. And they're the 2 seed, and I agree with you. I think the loss to Coeur d'Alene triggered something because I was worried about how they may do against Timberline, a team that they should have beaten, but they lost in that game last year. And, you know, there's probably a worry there. Are we never going to get to state? Like, that would have been a huge underachievement for me, but they got there, and they're there. It's going to be interesting to see how, once again, the Idaho Center, the backdrop, the depth perception, the lighting, the people,
the crowd,
and it's going to be a night game.
The travel.
All of it's going to come into play. Middleton is a type of team that will go take advantage of all of that because of the way they play and
they travel well
and their mindset. Yes, that's going to be a fun game. I'm going to take Lake City because I think Waddington and Zufelt, that duo is one of the best duos we have in the state. I think they have something to prove. Those are tough girls. Zufelt is a Meta Hoops girl. I got to know her a little bit, and I know Waddington is a monster. And what they did to Boise convinces me enough.
Right.
And beating Coeur d'Alene a few times convinces me enough with the size that you talked about to give Middleton enough problems. I think Middleton's going to have to shoot it extremely well.
Right.
But the guards on Lake City starting 5 can play with and beat anybody. They've shown that. They're physical. They're big, like you said. I think it's going to be too much for a young Middleton team. I think it's going to be a great experience for a young Middleton team moving forward, and I think it'll lead to a potential state championship or 2 as they drop down a classification next year. I believe, yes. And so that team's going to be scary moving forward.
Right.
I don't think it's their year, but it may be
Right.
because they're that good.
And they've been on a run.
And they've been on a run, and they're upset after that loss to Rocky. I've talked to a few of them. They're going to use it for good. They've got the right mindset. The coaching's fantastic. So I got Lake City in that game, and then, but you got Lake City.
Yeah, I got Lake City, but I'm gonna shout out one Middleton girl, Lainey Levitt. She's coming up. She came off a knee injury.
Levitt is tough.
And she got back into it, and so that's somebody that I love and care for, and I hope that she does well.
Yeah, Robin Flowers is somebody I want to shout out as well. She got a lot of energy. She's a dog. She doesn't back down. She attacks. She's downhill. She can pass the ball. They've got a bunch of pieces. There's other girls that we don't have time to mention everybody, but they got dogs,
they got a team.
And they are physical, and they will not back down. So if you show up just because you're the higher seed, not ready to go, and you get slapped in the face, it's going to be tough to catch up to a team like that who can.
And if they're running, that's going to be the thing. If they get out and they're making shots early and they're running and playing their game,
trouble for Lake City.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So the last game, the 7:00 game, you've got the 3 seed Rigby against the 6 seed Hawaii. Mikkel Roy for Hawaii hits a buzzer-beating game winner at Hawaii to beat Timberline, to punch their ticket. Great moment for her. She deserves it. Friend of mine. Love the family. Shout out AD Roy over there at Hawaii. Hawaii gets in, and they should have gotten in, because had they not won that game, then they would have had to play Lake City, and they wouldn't have gotten in, and Sydney Rodriguez would not have gotten to the state tournament. And I want to see what she can do on a big stage. You know, she going Seattle University next year, bright lights there, see what she can do. Josie Davis, Mikkel Roy, Riley Beck, they've got a bunch of pieces. They've got some energy off the bench. But when you see Rigby, your jaw's going to drop, because athletically and physically, you're going to look at this team and be like, this team should win the state tournament. I've said it the last 2 years. Last year I saw them and I was like, if this team doesn't win, oh my goodness. And they got upset. I believe it was the Timberline. Timberline or Rocky last year. I think it was Timberline beat them, and they were just tougher. But I mean, you got Cambry Barber, 6'1", 6'2", BYU commit, maybe the best female athlete in the state that's playing basketball. And then you've got Miley Graham, NAIA Division III basketball player. You've got Kylie Danzy, a guard, NAIA Division III basketball player. Those are 2 Meta Hoops girls. Tiade Togiai, who's got multiple siblings playing Division I sports. She's about 6'2", 6'3", and a force. And then you've got Kinsley Larson, who's one of the best sophomores in the state. She's a bucket. She just committed to Meta Hoops. Shout out to her. So their starting 5 is extremely nasty. Like, I think I look at them and I put them up next to Boise, and I'm like, man, if you do the eye test and you got to put money on it, you're taking Rigby. This is their year. They've been disappointing and underwhelming in the last 2 state tournaments. They need to figure out, like, that this is it. This is their year, in my opinion, because they lose Graham, Danzy, and Barber as all 3 college hoopers. All 5 of these girls are college hoopers. Those 3 are gone this year. This is their year. Right. Like, if they don't do it, for me, it's going to be a disappointment. Like, they have to do it, and they can do it. But don't come out and get upset and underwhelm again. Come out and be ready to go, be locked in, be focused, because Hawaii can get you. They got enough girls that can shoot the ball and enough athletes that they can get you. And if that happens, it'll be a big disappointment for Rigby, in my opinion. But I'm going with Rigby. I'm going with Rigby by 10. I think their size overwhelms a smaller Hawaii team. Hawaii's going to have to shoot it well. Josie Davis, for me, is going to have to rebound like she has in the past and get 10, 11 rebounds. And they're going to have to hold Camry Barber to 8, 9, 10 rebounds because she had a 40-point game in the state tournament last year after they lost in the first round. She had a 20 I think it was 43 points and 20 rebounds or something like that. Jeez. Yeah, she is the best rebounder in the state, along with Avery Howell. I'm throwing Camry Barber, and that's what Coach Whiting sees in her as a freaky athlete that is an above-average rebounder and an energy girl. They need somebody else to step up and get buckets. Graham can do it. Danzy can do it. Togiak can do it. Larson wants to do it. They're going to be fun to watch. I'm excited for you to see them. So I got them by about 10 in that first round game.
Yeah, nice. I think for me, I think Rigby just off of the size, but the thing about Hawaii is if they could get everybody to play together, share the ball, and play for each other, how different that team would be. And they have depth that they could use more of, and they don't use. So for me, it comes down to one, when you get to the end of the season, the everybody's worn down. And so if you're going to just roll with your starters the entire game or 6 or 7, there's going to be a point where you're going to need more. You're going to have to go deeper into your bench. And if you haven't prepared those girls early on in the season for this moment, then they're going to be the lights is going to be too bright. So for me, I think it's going to be Rigby, one, athleticism, size, rebounding, and Hawaii is kind of like a live or die by the 3.
100%.
And so for me, I've never really been a big live or die by the 3 guy, just because it's like you have one off night, or if you got one person that hits their first 2 and misses the next 10, and you're relying on all of that bulk of points from that one person, and they don't show up for you, and you're not getting them into sets, and it becomes more of a emotion the whole game instead of actually having sets, scoring out of baseline and sideline out of bounds. Like, your production that you're going to get isn't going to be very high. You're going to end up scoring 35 to 45 points. It's not enough to win, especially against these teams that are athletic and well coached. So for me, it's like Hawaii would have a chance, does have a chance, but they have to play within each other. They have to play for each other, and they have to get deeper into their bench. But I just think Rigby might be a little bit too much with the size, athleticism. You got a girl getting 40 and 20. You never see that.
Yeah. And
at least out here you don't.
No. That's rare. And I like Hawaii having a chance in this game because they are live and die by the 3, because they're not going to physically match up. It's just not going to happen. There's going to be a clear, like, whoa, when you look at these two teams. And you've got Division I hoopers on Hawaii. You've got Sydney Rodriguez, who's a D1 hooper, and you're going to look at and be like, this is a mismatch. But I said it last year and the year before, and Rigby just they haven't lived up to their potential. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And I want to see it this year, because I would love to see a Rigby Boise championship game, or even a Rigby Lake City semi game would be just crazy. So. Anyway, now let's, instead of going through the whole bracket, because we want to talk about the boys SIC, who do you have winning state, and give me a player or 2 or 3 that to look out for that you're excited to watch.
I'm going to say Boise.
Boise's going to win it?
I think, that's who I'm going to go with. I think Avery Howell gets it done. As I said before, I just think this is her time. And this is, the biggest stage, the biggest opportunity. This is what she wants. This is what she plays for. This is what she works for. I just seen on Sunday that she was training some younger girls. Like, she just always is in the gym, and it's like she's done everything the right way. And for me, I feel like if you do things outside of the game and you're living the right way and helping others and giving back and doing those types of things, the Lord is going to bless you.
Amen.
And so I just think that she's earned it this year. I mean, she's went through it and got close. And carried and done whatever it takes to win, and came up short. And I feel like that has motivated not only her but her team. And all of those girls want to win, all of them. And they have shooters all over the floor. They have girls that play well together. They have new additions that are contributing. Like, they have so many things on their team, so many players on their team, and they've been together and they play for each other. And her being the dominant, aggressive, feisty, fierce competitor that she is, I feel like that's going to propel them to the state championship. So, or through the state championship. So I would say her in Boise. I would say I want to see Camry Barber. I want to see her. I just want to see the athleticism and see how her footwork is, and see how she moves, and see how dominant she can be.
Yeah.
And then I really want to see Logan Sailors.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a girl I train. You could say that I'm biased or whatever, but I want to see her show her offensive side. Everybody knows her for her defense, her steals, deflections, and all of that. But look at her shooting. Look at what she's done. She's had a 30 ball this year, multiple 20-point games. She probably leads the state in deflections. She's fierce. She competes hard, and I want to see her do well. So
she better have been a first team all conference girl, because she's been popping all year.
Yeah.
Every time I go watch her play, she's balling, defense and offense. So I talk about her defense because I think it's special, and that dog in her is special. But offensively, she has broken out this year, and CC leaves this year, and she'll be there next year. She's gonna be a big old problem next year. Especially they got young guards around her. She's gonna be fun to watch next year too. But they can do it this year.
Yeah.
If things go the right way, they just like last year, they have a shot.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Boise as well. Like you said, the shooters, Allison Turk, shout out Meadow Hoops. You got Sophie Clark. She's going to Montana for track. She got a strap. Her brother Max Clark just transferred to C of I. Excited for him from Arizona State. Quarterback, former Capital quarterback, Max Clark. His little sister's a shooter, just like he was. Then you got big bodies too. You got Munch. You've got Katie Hahn, who's got a Division I offer. I think she's their X factor, and not even scoring the ball.
Yeah, I want to see her.
Her energy,
I want to see her.
Her rebounding, her defensively, she is an X factor for them winning the state tournament. Katie Hahn, who came back from an injury recently, but she's a Division I basketball player, another Meadow Hoops girl. And then Patrico can go for 20 or 30 any night, the lefty guard. And then you got Presley Binder, who got them dimes and who is getting better every week.
Right.
Boise stacked. They're loaded with hoopers. They live it. They got a different edge. So I'm picking them as well. Obviously, Avery Howell, one of the best players to ever come out of the state. On the girls' side, I got Boise. Someone else I want to watch is I want to see the freshman at Coeur d'Alene, Brooksley Colvin. I want her to really show up and show out.
I want to see her.
I want her athleticism is special. She can get she gets 30 inches off the ground on her rebounds. She's athletic. She's gonna need to play Robin to older sister, Batman.
Yeah, I want to see both.
Yeah, I want to see her pop, and then I really want to see Kinsley Larson from Rigby, the sophomore who was the sixth man as a freshman last year. She's getting buckets. She's had multiple 20-point games this year. She gets buckets, and like I said, recently committed to Meadow Hoops, and she got the dog in her, and she's a really nice piece. So. Let's move on to the SIC. We both got Boise in the girls' state tournament. Let's move on to the boys' SIC district tournament. This is going to be fun, man. I think we could get 6 of these 8 teams into the tournament potentially. That's how deep the league is. Let's just run through it here for about 15 to 20 minutes and talk about the first round, which starts today. We're filming today on Tuesday, the 13th. Early happy Valentine's Day to you. I want you to know I love you. So
Love you too, brother.
Yes, sir. So anyway, game number 1. Let's start just with the 1 and 8 seed, which is going to be, I believe, at Capitol High School tonight, and that is Kuna and Owyhee. Last time they played, have to bring this up. Honestly, I think it's worth mentioning because Owyehee's defensively the best team I've seen since I've been out here for 7 years. Kuna did not score in the second quarter last time these teams played, and it was 45 to 5 or 40 to 5 at half.
40 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and then at the end of the game, it was 78 to 21, and so they rematch, and I will not be going to that game because I think it's gonna be tough to watch. That's how good Owyhee is. Shout out to Coach Paul, though. This is a notch on the belt for getting this team to the tournament and beating a Boise team that I have to mention. Boise was rolling, and Steve was balling, and they had a chance to be the 3 seed with a week left in the league, and then they play Owyhee, and Owyhee absolutely rips their heart out, shatters them, and they didn't win a game since that game, and just 4 straight losses, and that was it. For me, that's an Owyhee effect. That's different. They played Owyhee. They got down 40 at half. It was, I think, or 41 at half. It was 56 to 15, and that was their season. That's how I feel about it. I think Owyhee shattered their confidence, and they never recovered. And as they ended up with the 7 seed instead of the 3 seed, and they ultimately they lost to CUNA, who's the 10 seed, to get in, and now it's CUNA Waihe. So I got a Waihe by a lot.
Right. I would say, shout out to Paul for this being his first year, and you never really can gauge how good a coach is off of their first season because not all of their stuff is implemented. They're not accustomed to all the things yet. So for what he's done to even push them, upset a couple teams, and get them to where they're at, shout out to him.
Yeah.
But why he's just a juggernaut, man. It's just their defense is really good, and those guys are well coached. They're well conditioned. They all work hard. They all are trying to get in the gym. They're always in the gym, and they have something to prove. And I think that's why they've put a stamp on each of these games by demolishing a lot of people. And not to talk too much about them, but I mean, you can't ignore what they're doing when your margin of victory is 37 points a game, 38 points a game over the course of all SIC play.
Yeah, and that's
got to give credit to where credit is due, whether you hate them, love them, whatever. At the end of the day, instead of complaining about it, you should be getting your program to do the same thing.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. And ultimately, like, a shout out to their JV team and Coach Nick Warnicki, their JV coach, because those JV guys play half the varsity game, and they're stamping it too. Like, this is a program thing that we are watching.
They just won a district championship too.
Yeah, that's by how much?
20.
Yeah. And so, like, this is a program thing. This is a culture thing. That's what you just talk about. Paul hasn't had a time to build his culture. When Paul does, Paul's going to continue to be successful.
Right.
Great accomplishment getting to the district tournament for these guys because they're young. And so shout out to Paul, just like you. I've known Paul a long time, but Waihe is who they are, and top to bottom, and the JV guys are ready, and they're different, and we're going to continue to talk about that over the next couple weeks. So the next game, let's go to the 4-5 game, which is also at Capitol High School. Interesting matchup that Eagle recently won. Centennial Eagle beat Centennial at Centennial by 2. This is a huge game for me because I believe the winner of this game has a more clear route to state, and I can get into that here in just a second. The winner will play a Waihe, in my opinion, and then I think the winner of Eagle Centennial loses to a Waihe, and then we'll do the cross bracket game, and they will have potentially a more favorable matchup than the other side that has to do the cross bracket game, potentially. So it's all opinion based, but I got Eagle. I got Eagle in this game. Both of these teams have won at Capitol. Both of these teams are comfortable at Capitol. Eagle won by 7 at Capitol, and Centennial won by, we were at that game, the real CHS.
By 5.
By 5, yeah, by about 5. So both teams have won at Capitol. I like Cody Pickett towards the end of the year. I love Oppersbach. Centennial just recovered after the beatdown against Hawaii way better than I thought they were going to. I thought there was potential for a fall apart there, but they played together, 20 plus assists, which is when they're their best, when the guys are making other guys better.
Right.
They've got Knutson and Eddins who can take games over and carry, but fact of the matter is they're better when they're playmakers along with scores, and they're taking high percentage shots and getting each other high percentage shots instead of forcing, which, I mean, that's all scores. You were a scorer, right? I play with a bunch of scores. Like, there's at times you can get antsy or you can get aggressive, and that's all confidence. That's great. But when you can play within, the team, with the type of team they have, especially with Tibbetts, who is a selfless pass first guy, Johnson, who's a selfless pass first guy, guys that can shoot as well, guys that can slash and finish, with Knutson and Eddins, and what the most selfless player of them all, Edward Simi.
Yeah.
When they come together and Eddins and Knutson are on the same page with those other guys, and they're all on the same page, you got 5 guys who are playmaking for each other, who can all do, different things well. That team's gonna be tough to beat, and I hope they get to the tournament. But in this game, I think Cal Hewish is too much of a factor. I love Edward Simi, and I think he can handle it. But Eagles' size, Miguel Taylor's playing better. Cole Pugh can defend. Hudson Van Alphen likes the bright lights. Here we go. Harmon House been playing well, shooting the ball. I'm gonna go with Eagle, and 2 weeks ago when we did this, I wouldn't have taken Eagle. But I'm taking Eagle in this game. Centennial's not gonna like that. Centennial could win this game, but I'm going with Eagle in this game.
Yeah, well, I gotta say I was dead wrong about Eagle.
Yeah.
I was in from that episode earlier, so yeah, way to shut me up, way to prove me wrong. So I
But
mean,
you knew you could have been wrong
yeah,
about
and
that.
I knew, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like and maybe they watched it and got some motivation from it, and good. But I think honestly, man, to be real with you, Russ has been playing out of his mind, and this is what he is
Hooper.
capable of doing. And the thing is he's actually been leading, and he's slowed down from last year to this year. He's
Mm-hmm.
slowed down. He's controlling everything. And there's some times where he gets routed up and and pressure gets to him a little bit, but it's not even close to what it was before. And even in the spurts at the beginning of the season, now he's been balling multiple games over 20, multiple +5 assist games. Probably has more because most of the statisticians do it wrong, but I'm not going to get into that. But he's had multiple above 5 rebound games, and he's getting everybody better. I think that Cal Hewish has been doing so well because he's playing with a guy like Russ.
Yeah.
And so
Facts.
Russ he's definitely earned everything that he's got this year and what he's going to continue to get. And so shout out to him for leading this team and being a senior captain and growing so much over the time since he's came back. So I'm going to go with Eagle based upon size, based upon um, the flow of how the game is going to be played, because they can play fast too, which is not usually how they used to do things. They used to play a little bit slower. Used to always work through the post. Now Cal is still getting the ball, like their center or forward
Yeah.
is still getting the ball, but these other guys are chipping in. Cole Pugh has been huge.
Yeah, he's had a great season.
He's been huge defensively. He's been making shots. He's been taking shots.
Yeah.
Hudson Van Alphen's been shooting taking advantage of his opportunities as well. And but they have sides between Miguel Taylor,
Yeah.
Cal Hewish, Harmon House,
Yeah. Perkins off the bench,
Perkins,
the big body.
who to me, I'm not gonna lie, this is a dude who I think if he really work on his game, will be one of the most dominant players.
I don't disagree.
And I just think he could be good.
He loves football.
So that's cool. But
I tried to get him to play club last year, and he's like, I'm gonna focus on football. I said, it's unfortunate, but he's gotten better. And Cody and that coaching staff has done a great job with him.
Right.
But yeah, and Cody Pickett, man, he's one of those guys that you don't want to come across when it matters and it comes to winning, and he's always his best at
he always finds a way.
Yeah,
and that's
he's won
why
a state championship.
I was wrong, and I was like, dang, I didn't even factor in all of the
body of work
that he's done when I should have been able to do that at the beginning. But I also think the Centennial can win this game too.
Yeah.
And I think, as you said earlier, when they play for each other, that's when I'm like, if they come out and they're moving the ball, it's going to be a totally different game, because Eagle beat Centennial by 2 last time.
Yeah, it was 2.
And granted, it was at Centennial, so you have to give props to Eagle for getting a dub away from home. But I think with Centennial, the biggest problem that they're going to face is getting out rebounded. And then if the threes aren't falling, where do you make up for it?
Yeah.
When they play unselfish, everybody's going to contribute. They just played Nampa, blasted them.
Yeah.
And the first time they played them, they struggled with them a little bit, but they just played them, blasted them. But you had 18 from Tibbs. You had, I want to say 17 from Edens. You had 16 or 14 from Knutson. And typically you have Gabe at 22 to 28.
Yeah.
And then you have Knutson that's at usually about 15 to about 20, 22.
Yeah.
And then, everybody else will chip in. Chase Tibbetts will get about 10 to 13, and Henry Johnson 10 to 13, the same thing. And then it'll trickle down 8, 6, 4.
Yeah.
But it's the percentage thing for me.
100%.
Are you shooting the ball at a high percentage? Are you moving the ball? And you got to live with more so of Gabe Edens taking the risky, tough shots over Knutson, in my opinion, based upon Gabe is scoring from all 3 levels. He's been killing people while they're game planning for him, scheming for him. He's taller, he's athletic. He has a variety of moves, and he plays the game at his pace, where Knutson is a lot more downhill, 100%, all gas, no break.
Yeah.
And if he catches fire, though, that changes the whole game.
Yeah,
if he catches fire, like he had a 6 or 7 game where he scored 26 points.
Yeah.
Who did they play?
We were at that game. He had like 20 in the first half.
Yeah, he was killing. But if he's hot like that, it changes how their whole team plays, because then you can live with a couple bad shots because you already got 6 threes.
Yeah.
And if those two are both efficient
Yeah.
and they both chip in about 4 to 6 assists,
They're
a totally different
they
team.
can play
and,
with any
and
play
they
with
can end up
anybody.
blowing teams out too
Yeah.
because the threes fall and they play fast. They run the whole time. Josh allows these guys to play free, so I'm not going to count them out.
Yeah.
I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say Eagle by 1, or I'm going to say Centennial by 3.
Okay.
So I'm on
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. I was going to say Eagle, but I'm on the fence because it's ooh.
Yeah, so the reason I said earlier that I think the winner of this game is in a better position because the loser of this game will play CUNA probably, right?
Right.
The loser will play CUNA, and then if the seeding is correct, Timberline will win, or Capital could upset them. But if the 3-seed Timberline wins and Meridian wins, the loser of that will then have to go play whoever wins between CUNA and the loser of this game. And that's how you get into state. That's the get into state game. And so that's going to be a tough. If you lose this first game, because in this, folks, you have to win a game before you lose 2 games. If you lose your first 2 games, you're out. The other 6 teams will have a chance to play to get into the state tournament with 1 win. And then if you win 1 and then lose 2, or win 1, lose 1, win 1 and then lose 2, you can still go to playing game. And the East is down, and the North depends on who comes from the North. That could be a good matchup as a playing game in Grangeville. I don't think you want to go play a team from the North. If you get the seed from the East, you can be confident. But so the winner, this is the biggest game for me, Eagle Centennial, because I think the loser has the potential of not getting into state.
Right.
And both of these teams I'd like to see at state. So I'm going to take Eagle. And then let's jump down. So we both have a Waihi, and you said it's a toss-up for you. It's a toss-up for me as well, but I'm going to go Eagle because I think Centennial has to show that they can beat them after losing to them at home. It's that simple for me.
Right.
I think they can do it, and I think they could beat Eagle by double digits if they shoot well, like you said. So let's go down to the next game. It's Meridian-Middleton. Interesting matchup. Meridian beat Middleton, I think it was a week ago, by 31. This game is at Eagle. Eagle's an interesting place to shoot. I don't think Meridian's played at Eagle this year. So for me, Middleton did play at Eagle, and they did not play great. They got beat pretty handily by Eagle, and that's when Russ had 21 and 12 recently. So I'm going with Meridian in this game for those clear reasons. It's Saner time, and I think this Middleton team, good win over Mountain View to get in. But I don't foresee this being a game that they win. The next game, potentially, I got Meridian by 10 to 15 in this game.
Yeah, I don't know this. Man, I've been kind of
31 last week, though.
I know this game.
Is that Meridian?
This game has kind of been messing my head up because it's hard to beat a team 3 times, especially when you've whooped them twice.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just had me kind of on the fence. But to be honest, I think Meridian kills them. I don't think it's 31. I think it's a closer game, more competitive, but I don't know. There's part of me that feels like Middleton may come out on fire, and it may be they might slow it down, and it might be a totally different style of game. But as you said, it is Coach Saner time. So
yeah.
And he hasn't even brought out half the playbook. And they scored in the game I went to. I went to the senior night, Meridian versus Middleton, and in the second half, they scored out of 7 different sets. They had a wide open shot and scored. And it was like wide open. And you could tell that it was, I mean, you hear the whistle, you then look, boom, boom, oh, wide open, 3, boom, oh, back door, boom, layup. Like, it's just stuff like that where it's like, man.
It's the next level.
Yeah, and their defense against Middleton last time, Tristan Fortin was hooping.
Yeah, he's a hooper.
Got his first in-game dunk.
Yeah.
Was the cookie monster, like, and their team was moving. They had energy. Was senior night. They competed. They moved the ball well. Man, I think Meridian's going to dominate.
Yeah, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for the Tristan Fortin thing because I told a lot of people, he's gonna break out this year and he's gonna be their third scorer. He's gonna be a double-digit guy, 10 to 12 potentially. I think he's at 10, and so he's that guy. He's tough and it's always quiet. Yep. He's what you would call a role guy, but he's better than a role player, and he's a guy that can go for 20.
Yep. And went for 20. He's had 20.
Yeah, and so can Griffin Deere.
Right.
So can Duncan Pierce.
Yeah.
Their starting 5 is for me is like on the Lake City girls side, they're starting 5. At Capital too, they're starting 5. You got these starting 5s that I'll put them up against anybody.
Right. When they have a bench, Meridian has a bench, and they can.
Yeah, they got
go,
guys too.
And it's size too. They have size. They have speed. They have toughness. They have an edge. I would say, and they're not backing down from anybody. They're not scared of anybody. And you never know who could pop on their bench. Because there's guys who popped off for 10, 12.
Fish can pop.
Right.
Drake Hope can pop.
Yeah.
Brummer can hoop. Hunter White's a body. I mean, they've got
Trace Horton.
Yeah.
Like
they got guys.
Bigger, stronger players where it's like, and they've played together. A lot of them understand each other's games and stuff like that. And so for me, being able to just take out 1 starter or 2 starters, put 2 guys in, take out 3 starters, put 3 guys in, take out 4 starters, and put 4 guys off the bench.
That's what
and
Jeff
you're
does.
Getting production.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. That's hard to bet against.
That's what Jeff does, and it's also Ryan Baker time.
Yeah.
We all know that this is Ryan's favorite time of year.
Yeah.
He got something to prove. So he's been there, done that. I'm excited to see where his game goes, because we're going to see a lot of people elevate their game now, which is going to be exciting. More highlights, more trash talking, all the fun stuff.
I think TJ Sainer is gonna. I think he's gonna have a good district tournament and a potential state tournament.
He's 35-foot range, like your boy Julian Bowie out there at Pokey.
Well, he's from what I've heard, he's been working on some moves off the dribble. So.
Oh yeah, show me.
Could be a little spooky for some people guarding him. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
Good, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that game. I'm excited for Middleton to be in it. But I got Meridian. Let's touch on the last game of the first round, and then we'll talk about the teams we think we'll get in real quick. And that's the game tonight at Eagle, the late night game, Capital Timberline. That was the first game of the year I watched. Timberline beat them at Capital by 10, and then they played again at Timberline. Timberline won by 3. Capital got past Rocky twice in a row, but got past Rocky to get into the district tournament. This Capital team needs to get to the state tournament for it to not be a disappointment for me. Don't lose a play-in game. This game for them is huge, because if they win this game, once again, if they win this game and then they go and they have a shot at Meridian, who they lost to by 1. If Meridian wins, they'll have a shot at Meridian, who they lost to, I believe, at Meridian by 1. That they win that game, they get into the state tournament. If not, they got the cross bracket up against probably the loser of Eagle Centennial. If they lose this game, then they got to play a Middleton team, and win or go home game against Middleton, anything can happen.
Right.
And then you got to play most likely the winner of Centennial Eagle to get into state. But I want Capital to make a run and get to state, because that team at the Idaho Center would be a blast to watch. I'm going to go with Timberline because they've beaten them twice. It is hard to beat a team 3 times, and part of me wants to pick Capital. But I still don't think Ibrahim Talasso is getting the ball in a space to work enough. And when he had the first 8 points against Rocky the other day and then disappeared for 8 minutes and didn't get a touch. I'm like, I'm coming down, and I've said it again. I'm stressing it. Get him the ball. And then you got Talaria, who can shoot. It's been efficient this year. Clay, who loves to catch and shoot. McNamara, who's that guy. Durrell shooting a high percentage this year. They can shoot it. They got athletes. They play fast. Blaz lets them play basketball. Talasso, at times for me, is going to have to be the guy that carries in the big games, because we got big games now. He's going to have to show me tonight against Haney and the boys, who are going to be physical and ready for him. Like, can they do it? Yes, I think they can. I'm going to go with Timberline because they haven't done it yet. This is going to be a fun one. Alex Coe, for me, first-team All-League guy. Jacob Haney's had an incredible year. The Twins are playing well. Timberline, what a season they've had. Right. And Noble, for me, should be Coach of the Year. I think you got Sainer, who did what everybody thought he would do. Harrington as well. Noble did something nobody thought he would do with the losses they had. Alex Coe has led and carried. I got Timberline in this game because defensively, I think they're better than Capital. But if they get down early and Capital dictates the pace, it's going to be Capital. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm picking Capital.
Really?
I'm picking Capital, and it's no disrespect to Timberline at all. They're great. I love, I have guys there that I love and I want to see do well. They've had a great year, and, they've done all the things that nobody expected them to do. But after we went to the real CHS game, I talked with Ibrahim Talasso, and we had a real conversation. And I told him exactly how Capital's season was going to go and who they were going to have to play the district to get a potential spot into state and who they were going to face. And everything I said was right. And I said that they're going to get another chance at Timberline. I don't know how, I don't know what's going to happen, but this is way before it's even got to this point. And here it is. And right after when the bracket came out, he messaged me and he's like, you were word for word, bar for bar, right. And
Well, then he better listen to what else you said.
and he told, I said, so now show me what you're going to
Yeah.
do. And he's like, I'm going to dominate.
Yeah.
So I expect a huge game from him. And I think that this will be the hardest that we've seen him compete because he is a dog. He can rebound, block shots. You know, he's my most athletic player in the SIC. But we haven't seen him play consistently as hard as he possibly can the entire course of a game yet. When we do, then we're going to see a guy that could shock everybody.
Yeah.
He could be a guy that could get you a 30 and 20,
Yeah.
20-point game with 6 blocks. Like he's that good.
Player of the year type of player,
Yes,
which
he's
we
that good.
both know is in him.
And so I'm excited to see him. I'm excited, I mean, all the other guys, but specifically had a talk with him and then Makai Durrell. And then my boy Michael, shout out Michael, one of the best teammates you could ever have, best people, regardless of basketball, sports, whatever, best people you could have in your life. But I talked to Makai Durrell about the same thing. And I told those two, I said, show us what you guys are built, how you're built. Show us what you're made of.
You're the seniors.
And this is your opportunity to do it. And
You're the
this is what's going to happen. And if you do it, you can change how everybody will look at your 4 years of high school.
100%.
So I'm going to go with Capital. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be an overtime game. And I have Capital winning by 2.
Oof. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. That one's going to be hype for sure. I'm going to go probably over to the Centennial Eagle game at 6 and then jump over to that game at Eagle after. I'm going to drive from Capital to Eagle at 6. So excuse me, Eagle, Centennial, yes, is at Capital. And then we go over to Eagle for the nightcap, this game. But man, I don't know. Let's do our predictions now for the 4 teams we think will get the state. And maybe the 2 that'll get to the play-in games. I'll throw it at you first. I'm going to Waihe. I'm going Meridian. That's what I think the district championship is going to be. I'm excited for that one, if that happens. And then I'm going to go Eagle this time. And I'm going to go, oh, man, goodness gracious. I'm going to go Capital. And I think, and even though I think Timberline's going to win this game, I do. I think, I don't know, or Capital could win this game, like I said. But I'm gonna go. I think Capital's gonna get there. I think Eagle's gonna get there. I think Waihe and Meridian, and then I also think Timberline's gonna get in via a play-in game. I don't care who they play, East or North. And then the other play-in game, I think is gonna be Centennial against whoever comes from the North. I think so. I guess I have Capital beating Timberline tonight if that's gonna happen. But I am picking Timberline. I'm confused clearly, but I think whoever plays the North, it's going to depend on the matchup. If Capital or Centennial or Timberline, whoever has to go up and play the North, I think will dictate my pick. Because if it's Lake City and you haven't seen Reese Strawn, you better freaking be ready.
Right.
If it's Coeur d'Alene, I don't know. I don't know if I would take any of those teams over Coeur d'Alene,
right.
Up in Grangeville. So it's going to be interesting. But I do got Timberline getting in. I think it'll be via play-in. And I do think Capital's going to get it. I think I got 5 teams for sure, and then I think a Centennial. I do not see Middleton or Cuna getting in or having an opportunity to get in. I think we could have the other 6 get in. I think Cuna loses their first 2 games, and I think Middleton will lose their first 2 games as well. I think Middleton will lose the Meridian and then lose to the loser of Timberline and or Capital. That's who Middleton will have to play. Those are the 2 teams I think will be out. The teams that will, if you lose 2, you're out. You have to win 1 before you lose 2 to have a chance to get in. And I think the other 6 could potentially be at the state tournament, which would be exciting. But I do think whoever we have the play-in against the East will win. I think whoever we have the play-in against the North is to be determined.
Okay. Wow.
Sorry.
Me, no, I'm just like, dang.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. The fact that we could get 6 teams in is, wow, it's crazy. But
who are the 4 out of those 8 that you would take to get in?
Well, I know why he's going to be there. Meridian's going to be there. I can't bet against Eagle right now at this current moment.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. I can't after I watched how Russ played against Mountain View, and I mean, obviously, I've been seeing what he's been doing all year, but how he led and the swagger he played with, and just it was just he played a beautiful game. And so it was like I even had to tell him like, yo, that was impressive.
He has to be a first team all
So
league guy
yeah,
after how he finished and where
right.
they got and who they jumped to get to where they got.
And I'm always gonna give people their flowers. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. And for me, he just has that team playing at a totally different level than they did. I think that second Hawaii game that they had, from that point forward, they've
Yeah.
really looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to put Eagles, so I'll put those three. And then I'm going to say my fourth would be, ooh, that's tough.
You got Centennial, Capital, Timberline, Middleton, CUNA.
I think my fourth I'm going to say is for a guarantee. I'm trying to think of Centennial. If Centennial loses, then who they play?
They'll end up playing the loser of probably Meridian. If Meridian beats Capital or Timberline, the loser of that game will jump over and play Centennial if they lose their first game.
So I'll say.
So it'd be like Centennial Timberline Capital mix. Is you're just trying to figure out who's gonna play who.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
Who's the last guarantee?
My last guarantee is gonna be. Dude, I just think it's gonna be Capital. I don't know why.
Capital.
I just do. I do. It's either them or Centennial for me. I don't know. I kind of, and Timberline people are gonna hate me for this, but I feel like the run has run out.
Really? You don't think they'll get in?
And I don't know why. I just kind of felt that way, just because I feel like they started so hot, and then I just feel like they cooled off with losing to Centennial, losing to Hawaii was a bad loss for them, losing to Meridian, like. I just feel I don't know. I feel like it's just Capitals. Like now it's the time, and it's like it's not about how you start; it's how you finish.
Yeah.
And so I would say Capital, and then I think that Centennial will get in a play-in.
Okay, but you don't see CUNA, Middleton, or Timberline getting in.
Nope.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
which is hard because Timberline thing, I could see them getting in.
Yeah, they're physical. They have
big,
a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
They defend,
and it's been a great year for them.
Yeah, so
I just don't know why. I just feel like, and I felt like that at like the last couple games. I'm like, dang, they haven't even won convincingly.
Yeah.
Other than I think they beat Boise pretty bad.
But Boise had fallen off the rails.
Boise had been done. So
at that point. Okay, so who do you have winning districts? Hawaii. I didn't even need to ask that question. Hawaii. And then next week we will be doing our boys state tournament. We'll do 5A, probably touch on a little 4A, talk about Case Why Not a little bit next week, and then once the boys.
We got some other of these smaller school guys, and even for the smaller schools that we missed on the girls from. I'm pretty sure Shelly had a great season. I don't know if they ended.
Brenly Cannon from Shelly, they're the 1 seed. She's a BYU commit. She's coming out to town. Shay Shippen from Skylines, they got in. They're the 3 seed. They're coming out to town. I'm gonna try to go. If they win their first game, I'm gonna go watch her at the Idaho Center at 2:00.
Even 4A got BK that repeated
That's
again.
What I'm saying.
So there's players all over, and I know that sometimes some of the smaller schools and fans and parents of these smaller schools, we don't touch on them enough, but we do see if they were more local, we would be outside of like some of the 4A teams, we could do a little bit more on the 4A, but if some of these teams were more local, we could give a better outlook on them. And a lot of people have been like, you don't give it anybody from the north love or from the even further down south love. And it's like, we're in the Treasure Valley.
Yeah.
So it's like
we can see what we can see.
We can only see so much. So, for those that don't understand, like
we're both married.
We're both married.
I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I take care of Coach DM.
And we both run businesses. So it's like we're doing this to try to, we're showing love. And a lot of times we try to give constructive criticism as well as our honest opinion without any fluff.
Yeah.
So that you guys can understand fully how we think. And again, if you disagree with us or you think that we're wrong, it's 100% fine. Yeah. We don't feel any type of way towards you, even though you may feel some type of way towards us.
Yeah.
But we're just giving our true opinion. So, but then for the boys, I know that there is a kid, Cutter Buse, who had a 50 ball,
and then 37 and 37 in a game.
And some of these guys need some more praise and some talk that we need to talk about. So from these smaller schools, obviously we have Case Why Not, but even I want to say there's another school and boys that has been dominating. I think they're 3A.
Snake River. Snake River.
throwing alley-oops off the glass.
Mr.
And so,
Coombs is
yeah,
hooping.
so we've seen some of
Yeah.
these things, and we want to give you guys love and praise too. Hopefully, when we see you guys at the state tournament, that
Yeah.
we can have conversations and get to watch you and get a better observation, so we can speak about you more, because we want to show love and positivity, but also be constructive and honest and real
Yeah.
with anybody that watches this, or any player that we can help propel you to the next level. Sometimes it's going to be some things that you may not want to hear.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with guys that are top ranked in the state, from Isaac Davis to Ike Sutton to Julian Bowie to Liam Campbell. All of these guys that I've had conversations with, just being completely honest with them about where I feel that their game could take that next step. So,
Yeah.
And hopefully we can do that for more players as
Yeah.
the year goes on and finishes out. But
You just did it for Colton Mitchell a few weeks ago. You worked him out. He came in town, and all these guys come into town and want to hang out. So you're appreciated, bro. And we will talk about a bunch of the boys from the lower levels next week. We'll have some extra time. We'll talk about the boys state tournament, and then we'll talk about some of these smaller schools and their top players, and a few of these teams that deserve love. And we try to do what we can when we can.
Right.
So let's close in prayer, and let's get ready for state tournament this week.
Right.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to just spend time together doing something we love, and that's just talking hoops and trying to be a bright light and show people love, and just share the information we have and do the best we can with what we have. And we just give you thanks in all things, and I pray for health and wellness for all. Paige Kofer, just Netatia, everyone who has faced an injury this year, who is currently trying to get through that. We pray that you just bring them peace and healing. And we love you so much in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, baby.
All right, bro.
State time. Let's go.
Let's go.